There's a clear consensus among ASIC, the Senate Economic References Committee, and the Financial System Inquiry that the current financial product disclosure regime is not working. It results in long, complex documents that are costly to produce and don't help consumers make informed decisions. There is also a developing consensus, though it is not as clear, that part of the response to this problem will involve imposing some kind of product design requirements and giving ASIC the power to intervene and ban financial products.
It's a very interesting point about the consensus on product disclosure statements just being too long, too complex, not being a useful tool in protecting consumers, because that's kind of precisely what came out of the last, the Wallace inquiry, that this was going to solve all of the problems for consumers and the perfect consumer protection regime. And of course, since Wallace, we've seen multiple instances of poor advice, poor investment decisions. And you're right, they're talking a lot here about product suitability rules as if it's this kind of new idea that's going to solve the problems that were going to be solved by disclosure documents. But of course, we've already got these rules. They've been around now for a couple of years. We've got them with lending, where we've got suitability requirements imposed on lenders. We've also got a really good example with the new MySuper rules, which started about 12 months ago really now, where product issuers have to create products that they say are, well, they form the view are in the best interests of the investor. So the shift's already happened. It's going to be very interesting to see whether it can move into a greater range of products. And I also query the benefit for ASIC. It seems to me that it comes with a lot of risk for ASIC.
ASIC seems quite keen to have the power to ban products, but with that power comes responsibility. If ASIC doesn't ban a product and something goes wrong for investors, ASIC will be one of the people they blame. So the question that poses is, how will ASIC handle that responsibility? And some possibilities to consider are the possibility that ASIC will be over-conservative and ban products that might otherwise be attractive to the market, or ASIC will impose bureaucratic processes on the industry that require products to be very carefully vetted before they can be distributed.
The way it's been dealt with is by having a very prescriptive legislative regime which gives APRA the power to authorise products, but very little discretion, because the qualifications to get that authorisation are so prescriptive. Where that takes you is to products that look very, very similar, which actually raises a very interesting problem, because if you've got a product suitability regime and all of your products look the same, it assumes that the same product is going to suit every person. It's a big assumption.
We know from long experience that when people lose money, they look around for people to blame. And we also know that when the rules they can apply are broad and evaluative rules, it's much easier for them to make claims, and it's much harder to defeat those claims quickly. And it's very hard to imagine a product suitability rule that is not going to be fairly broad and evaluative. And you combine that fact with the fact that finance investing is all about taking risk, the conditions are ripe for litigation. And you also need to look at this in the context of the ongoing concerns about financial advice and the quality of financial advice. In the aftermath of the GFC, the first port of call for a disgruntled investor was to make a claim against their financial advisor. And often, advisors didn't have the resources to compensate their clients. This new regime has the potential to really shift risk onto product issuers, who will become the next most likely targets. And as a rule, they have deeper pockets.
And I think that you see that a movement along that line has already started again, with a lot of the discussion in the FSI's interim report about dividing advice between a sales model and an advised model. So you, on one end, have complex products where advisors who are meant to be highly skilled and trained and registered with ASIC will be providing advice to their sophisticated client, and then you'll have the product suitability rules and sales. And of course, that works if your product is indeed suitable. There's really no reason why you couldn't sell it, but you're right, the liability sits squarely with the product issuer.